Good evening. Thanks for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shereen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you tonight. Global stock markets remain downbeat after the US Federal Reserve hiked rates by 75 basis points, sending hawkish signals. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says there is still some distance to go on rate hikes to tame inflation. Dalal Street ends a volatile session with minor losses amidst a global sell-off. Bank stocks buck the trend, ending in the green. The rupee weakens against the dollar, moving closer to the 83 mark. Heavy Industries Ministry takes a tough stance, makes it mandatory for electric vehicle makers to carry out certain tests from April 2023 in order to avail of incentives under several schemes. More than a dozen incidents of electric vehicles catching fire have been reported since March. Investments are yet to take off under the production-linked incentive schemes for pharma as industry blames delays due to the pandemic. Only 21% of the total investment committed has been deployed for raw material manufacturing and 16% has been deployed to make medical devices. The RBI Monetary Policy Committee gathers for an unscheduled meeting to draft a letter to the government on missing its inflation target. This is the first time inflation has stayed above 6% for 9 months in a row since the new MPC framework was adopted in 2016. India's largest mortgage lender, HDFC, beats estimates in Q2. Asset quality hits the highest level in nearly 3 years. Hero Moto meets estimates even as profits decline by 10%. Revenue growth is over 8%. Former Prime Minister of Pakistan Imran Khan survives a suspected assassination attempt. He suffered injuries from gunshots but is reportedly out of danger. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif condemns the firing, calls for an immediate report on the incident. The Election Commission announces dates for the Gujarat Assembly elections. Polling will be held in 2 phases on the 1st and the 5th of December. Results will be announced on the 8th along with Himachal Pradesh. Ajit Mohan quits as the India head of Facebook's parent company Meta. In a statement, Meta says he's going to pursue another opportunity outside of the company. WhatsApp rolls out its discussion group features Communities. It will enable users to have multiple groups under one umbrella. The instant messaging app also introduced new features including in-chat polls, 32% video calling and groups with up to 1,024 members. The Supreme Court accepts the proposal to conduct elections at the Indian Olympic Association on the 10th of December. The draft amendments proposed by former Apex Court Judge L.N. Rao will be up for voting. Let's start with the market action. Dalal Street managing to recoup some losses in late trade, even as the Sensex and the Nifty ended in the red. The sentiment across global markets has been downbeat after the US Fed rate hikes that came in overnight, as well as its hawkish commentary. But India did manage to outperform peers. Bank stocks bucking the trend, the Nifty Bank Index ending in the green for the day. In the money market, the rupee weakened against the dollar. The hawkish commentary meant that the dollar index gathered strength against most major currencies. As things stand, $1 costs nearly 83 rupees. Former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan has termed the Fed's policy as hawkish and said that rates are likely to continue to rise in the short term. Several investors have accused the Fed of sending out mixed signals. Abhishek Datta Roy and Ritu Singh report on the varied reactions to the US Federal Reserve's latest monetary policy, which has left markets downbeat.
The Jerome Powell-led Federal Reserve pretty much stuck to the script, approving a 4th consecutive 75 basis point hike in benchmark interest rates. Their intent reasonable. US is currently grappling with a 40-year high inflation rate. However, the markets were expecting Powell to adopt a more dovish tone and hint at rate hikes of a lesser magnitude going forward, and that initial statement seemed to hint at that. It said, and I quote, "The committee will take into account the cumulative tightening of monetary policy, the lags with which monetary policy affects economic activity and inflation, and economic and financial developments," end of quote. Wall Street started to rally, but it was short-lived when Powell took to the stage and said,
"We still have some ways to go, and incoming data since our last meeting suggests that the ultimate level of interest rates will be higher than previously expected."
We still have a ways to go. The message from Powell was clear. Rate hikes are likely to continue.
Fed raised interest rates as expected, but Chairman Powell also came in with slight mollifiers for the market. Yes, over the next meeting or two, we will start slowing the pace of rate increases, but we're going to go higher than you expected. Because, he did say that we haven't seen much of an effect on inflation yet, and the labor market is red hot. So we need to do more. I think the one additional piece of dovishness was we don't need to see inflation come down significantly before we slow the pace of rate hikes. So that, for a while, the market took some comfort from that. But in general, it was relatively hawkish.
Stock markets went into a tizzy, and many investors accused the Fed of sending confusing signals.
Sometimes referred to the FOMC as the Federal Open Mouth Committee. There aren't too many of them that are just too anxious to speak. Chairman Powell really just came out with the most hawkish position. I would call it Volcker 2.0, basically saying, we're just going to raise interest rates until we find the level that starts to convincingly bring inflation down.
Yardeni was referring to the late Paul Volcker, who served as the Fed chair from 1979 to 1987 and is widely credited to have tamed the high inflation that plagued US during that period. In fact, Jerome Powell, while speaking at a conference in 2019, referred to Walker's memoir, Keeping at It, The Quest for Sound Money and Good Government. He said, and I quote, "I actually thought I should buy 500 copies of his book and just hand them out at the Fed," end of quote. Powell also defended the actions of the Fed so far.
I don't have any sense that we've over-tightened or moved too fast. I think it's been good and a successful program that we've gotten this far this fast.
The key policy rate in the US stands at 3.75 to 4%. Citi has raised its expectation to 5.25 to 5.5%, hinting that there is room for rates to go up by another 150 basis points. If this turns out to be true, Standard Chartered expects the rupee to depreciate beyond 84 levels against the dollar.
While staying with rates from the US Fed to the Bank of England, inflation in the UK is running at a 40-year high. The Bank of England has raised interest rates by 75 basis points to 3%. This is the biggest hike since 1989. The central bank has also warned that the UK could be facing its longest recession since reliable records began about a century ago. In its outlook, it's also indicated a very challenging two-year slump for the UK economy, and this does not bode well for Rishi Sunak, the new Prime Minister, who needs to present his economic blueprint in a few days from now. The RBI Monetary Policy Committee gathered today for an unscheduled meeting to draft a letter to the government on missing its inflation target. Now remember, this is the first time inflation has stayed above 6% for 9 months in a row. That's since the new MPC framework was adopted in 2016. RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das has said the RBI doesn't have the privilege to release the contents of the letter, but added it shouldn't be assumed that the contents of the letter and the report are going to be perennially under wraps. Earnings. India's largest mortgage lender, HDFC, beating estimates in Q2. Asset quality hitting the highest level in nearly 3 years. Retail assets under management near a 5-year high. However, net interest margins remain flat owing to a muted loan portfolio. India's services sector gathered momentum in October despite inflationary pressures. The S&P Global Purchasing Managers Index increased in October to 55.1 from September's 6-month low of 54.6. The figures remained above the 50 mark for the 15th month in a row. Snack maker Bikachi Foods' 881 crore rupee IPO has seen strong response from retail investors, with the entire book getting subscribed on day one. Total subscription touched 67% by the end of the day. The Rajasthan-based company has priced its shares in the range of 285 to 300 rupees a share. And another IPO, this one from the healthcare space. Global Health, the operator of the Medanta chain of hospitals, launched its 2,200 crore rupee IPO, and on day one, its overall subscription stood at 26%. Retail book was subscribed only 12%. The public issue has been priced between 319 to 336 rupees a share. The Heavy Industries Ministry has made it mandatory for electric vehicle makers to carry out certain tests from April 2023 in order to avail of incentives under several schemes, be it PLI or the FAME scheme. This comes after more than a dozen incidents of electric vehicles catching fire, which have been reported since March. Parikshit standing by with more details. Parikshit, take us through the action that the government intends to take. Moreover, are there more companies besides the two that have already been named who are no longer eligible for the incentives the government is giving out because of violations?
Well, clearly, comprehensive action being taken against EV makers which are flouting safety norms, testing norms, and also the localization criteria. So the PLI schemes, the FAME scheme for the electric vehicle sector, for advanced automotive sector, already had a 50% localization criteria. add to that, new safety guidelines have been mandated by the Ministry of Heavy Industries, and this is to enhance human safety. That was the big phrase in the notification that was issued by the Ministry of Heavy Industries, and they've really gone down to the cell levels, and the cells will be subjected to impact tests, temperature cycling, shock, vibration, fire exposure, altitude simulation. The BMS will be subjected to 10 tests in all, including cell voltage for each series check. The battery pack will be subjected to case stress, drop or free fall, immersion, crush, imbalance, charging tests. So all these are in line with international practices. Some of them are over and above what is already there in AIS 156 standards, which are required for homologating or for vehicle being allowed to run on Indian roads. So even the ARAI, ICAT and other testing agencies in India are being empowered. This is what the Heavy Industry Secretary told us a short while back, 146 crores being allocated. On the question of whether action is being taken against more EV players, yes, subsidies are being discontinued, withheld for companies, even apart from Hero Electric and Okinawa. Action has been taken. That is what the Secretary confirmed to CNBC-TV18.
For anybody to take advantage of Government of India schemes from April will have to do the cell level tests. These are like the impact test, temperature cycling, shock test, vibration test, fire exposure, altitude simulation. Then at the battery pack level, already prescribed tests as per AIS include propagation and water exposure. Now what we have added is the case stress, drop or free fall test, immersion test, crush test, or imbalance charging. Wherever we found any substance in the complaint, we have taken appropriate steps like either discontinuing that model being eligible or withholding the amount which has been paid to that company till that complaint is fully verified.
You can catch the entire interview with the Heavy Industry Secretary Arun Goyal on our special show News Centre at 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC TV18. A CNBC TV18 exclusive news break suggests that the government is considering bringing in an additional production-linked incentive scheme for the pharmaceutical sector, but this time to target the manufacturing of vaccines. As we wait for clarity on the contours of the new scheme, let's review the performance of the 3 PLI schemes that were rolled out for bulk drugs, medical devices and pharmaceuticals. These were rolled out in 2020. Ekta Bhatta is here to give us a status report. Ekta.
Thanks for that. Well, let's start with the PLI scheme for key starting materials, drug intermediates and active pharma ingredients or APIs, which had a financial outlay of around 6,940 crores. A total of 239 applications were received and 49 applications were selected for 32 products. As of December 2021, only 21% or 775 crores of the total investment committed of 3,685 crores was deployed and 3 projects were commissioned. For medical devices, the financial outlay was around 3,420 crores. A total of 42 applications were received, of which 21 applications were approved. As of December 2021, a total of 167.3 crores was invested, which is close to 16% of the total commitment of a little over 1,050 crores. Lastly, the largest was the PLI scheme for the pharmaceutical sector. It entailed an outlay of around 15,000 crores, which is spread across biopharma, API, autoimmunes to anti-diabetic drugs. The operational guidelines were issued in June 2021 and a total of 278 applications were received, of which 55 applications were selected. Industry experts suggest that slow offtake is likely because the rollout of the PLI scheme coincided with the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, when pharma companies were focused on critical investments, which resulted in delays in commissioning of PLI projects. Also, companies take at least a few months to maybe a year to sometimes finalize investments, which is why we could now see more projects commissioned under the PLI versus what we saw last year. In fact, large companies such as Aurobindo have their PLI project commissioned, with the company investing around $8 million in Q1, and the project is likely to come on stream by April 2024. Even the likes of Sun Pharma and Dr. Reddy's did benefit from PLI in the quarter gone by. While the quantum is not known, Sun and Dr. Reddy's have begun accruing benefits as they invested the mandated capex to scale up existing products that were a part of the scheme. But Are there issues with the current structure of the PLI scheme? Yes, say industry insiders. Companies say the PLI scheme needs to be opened up for more products. For example, the medical devices space should be opened up to encourage investments in products that are consumed in bulk, such as glucometers, thermometers, and not just high-end devices. Also, companies feel they should be able to apply for the PLI scheme on tap with longer timelines to achieve the targets put out.
Ekta, many thanks. Now, the World Health Organization has responded to CNBC-TV18's queries after a regulator in Gambia said that they're yet to confirm if cough syrups made by India's Maiden Pharma led to the death of 70 children. WHO says while it is hard to establish a direct causal link, 4 brands manufactured by Maiden Pharma had unacceptable levels of contaminants that are dangerous to human health. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman launched the 6th tranche of auction for commercial coal mines today. The auction will be held online through a 2-stage process based on percentage revenue share. The process will involve auctioning of 141 coal blocks across 12 states. The mines are expected to provide 20,000 crore rupees in revenues to states after they are operational. The government further expects the mines to generate over 2 lakh jobs. On to a big and sudden exit announcement. Meta India's head Ajit Mohan, who joined the social media company in January of 2019, has quit with immediate effect. We learned that he's expected to join rival Snap. Ashmit Kumar joins us now with more. Ashmit, Ajit Mohan exiting Meta onto Snap?
Indeed, and especially coming at a time when just earlier today we saw developments from WhatsApp, whereby WhatsApp had rolled out a series of various features in trying to, in fact, attract more users towards its market, towards its product. Now, let's keep in mind that the words being used internally within the company are sudden, unexpected. This wasn't really seen to be coming. As far as his tenure is concerned, he took charge in 2019 as the MD for the India chapter for Meta. And in doing so, there were various, in fact, challenges that he was confronted with. One of the big takeaways from his tenure here would be, of course, the $5.7 billion deal with Jio. One of the key focus areas for him during his tenure had been towards driving greater user traction within WhatsApp as well as Instagram platforms such as those. There was also, in fact, a heady regulatory challenge that he was confronted with in the form of the government seeking to ensure more accountability of some of these social media intermediaries. Now, his departure, importantly, comes at a time when there is a certain tightening of screws, so to speak, as far as the government regulatory machinery is concerned. We have a fresh set of IT amended rules, which puts fresh compliance burden on these companies, on social media intermediaries. To be specific, going forward, we're also expecting the data protection bill, which again will be critical for some of these companies operating in the digital space, the big tech companies. And this is the time that he's leaving the company. Could be a little challenging here. As far as the company itself is concerned, Meta, well, they released a statement confirming his departure, pointing out that he will be pursuing opportunities outside the company. They've pointed out that he's played a critical role in shaping and scaling the India operations, and that they will continue to be grateful for his efforts in driving Meta here in India.
All right, so Ajit Mohan exiting Meta, possibly headed to Snap. Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. And as Ashmit was pointing out, WhatsApp has rolled out its discussion group features, communities. This will enable users to have multiple groups under one umbrella. The instant messaging app also introduced new features, including in-chat polls. Currently, WhatsApp allows only 8 people on a video call. That's being raised to 32. The number of people who can be in a WhatsApp group is also being doubled from the current 512 people to 1,024 people. Well, from WhatsApp to Twitter, the company is likely to see mass layoffs after Elon Musk's acquisition. CNBC reports that Twitter's workforce is likely to be cut by 50%, and that will mean 3,700 employees may lose their jobs. Musk is also looking to mandate that all employees work from office. We will head into a break, but up next, former Prime Minister of Pakistan Imran Khan survives a suspected assassination attempt. He suffered injuries from gunshots, but now reportedly out of danger. That and more when we return. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has been injured after a man reportedly opened fire at him at a rally in the country's Punjab province. Visuals show Imran Khan standing on top of a vehicle surrounded by supporters when shots are heard. Leaders of Imran Khan's party claimed the incident was an assassination bid. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has issued a statement condemning the incident, asking authorities to launch an investigation. Khan, who was ousted as the Prime Minister of Pakistan earlier this year, is leading a long march to Islamabad protesting against what he calls the illegitimacy of the Shehbaz Sharif-led government. He began his long march on the 20th of October, demanding early elections after his government was removed in April this year. The Indian government has said that they are monitoring the situation closely.
कि ये आदमी एक फितना है, ये इस मुल्क को फितना और फसाद से दो चार करना चाहता है। इसका कौम को इदराक करना चाहिए और इस फितने का सर जो है वो अभी कुचलना चाहिए, वरना ये इस मुल्क और कौम को किसी हादसे से जो है ये दो चार कर देगा।
तो राउंड्स की जो है ना वो एकदम काफ़ी सारे यानी कि ना कि उसमें ऑटोमेटिक गन के साथ जो फायर किए गए हैं। लेकिन मेरी जो इन्फॉर्मेशन है वो एक तो पुलिस के सोर्सेज हैं वो कह रहे हैं कि जो है वो मल्टीपल वो उन्होंने रूल आउट नहीं किया कि सिर्फ एक ही शख्स था। लेकिन दूसरी बात ये कि मैंने आपको बताया कि खान साहब का जो कंटेनर है उसकी हाइट जो है ज़मीन से वो 15 से 17 फीट है। आप खुद ही अंदाज़ा लगाएं कि सड़क पे खड़ा होकर नीचे ऊपर को फायर करना और उस पर टांग पे लगना या फुट पे लगना, ये कितना इसमें मुझे कोई ज़्यादा पॉसिबिलिटी नज़र नहीं आती। गो कि हम वेट कर रहे हैं, इंतजार कर रहे हैं कि पुलिस की तरफ से कोई ऑफिशियल कंफर्मेशन हमें मिले।
An assassination bid in Pakistan, former Prime Minister Imran Khan injured. The Supreme Court has accepted the draft amendments to the Indian Olympic Association constitution proposed by Justice Ellen Rao. The elections to the Executive Committee of the IOA will be held on the 10th of December. Abhimanyu Sharma joins us now with more. Abhi.
Elections to the Executive Committee of the Indian Olympic Association are slated to be held on the 10th of December. The top court has accepted the draft amendments in the IOA constitution made by retired Justice Ellen Rao and has said that the draft amendments will be put up for voting before IOA's general body meeting on the 10th of November. The court also accepted the centre's submission that multiplicity of objections by various stakeholders may lead to multiple petitions in various courts, after which the top court made it clear that no other court in India is going to hear any related queries or objections in this regard, and any objections by IOA members and state bodies against draft amendments will possibly be taken up by the top court when it is going to hear this case next on the 7th of December. The court had earlier appointed Justice Ellen Rao to ensure fair working of the IOA, and Justice Rao was appointed to prepare electoral rules and conduct elections as well as to amend the constitution of the IOA. The court had earlier stayed the Delhi High Court order after the Sports Ministry had told the court that it could lead to suspension by the International Committee due to third-party interference. It remains to be seen what further objections and suggestions will be given by various stakeholders, not just the members, but also possibly by various players who are possibly going to approach only the top court now, since there is no other option available to approach any other court of law, and what further orders may be issued on the 7th of December.
Abhi, many thanks for joining us. Air quality in the national capital continues to remain a big concern. Danish joins us now with the steps that have now been taken by the Commission for Air Quality Management to address the current situation. Danish, more steps, more restrictions coming into play now?
Well, on the backdrop of severe air quality in the national capital, the graded response action plan stage 4 has kicked in, and hence the Centre for Air Quality Management has ordered to stop entry of trucks in Delhi. Those trucks that are running on CNG will be exempted from entering Delhi, and those trucks that are carrying essential goods and essential medicines only they'll be allowed to ply in Delhi. Besides this, the CAQM has also ordered to stop the MGVs and the other goods vehicles that are running on diesel to ply inside Delhi. Moreover, the CAQM has also said that those light motor vehicles that are running on diesel besides BS6 will not be allowed to ply in Delhi. Well, these restrictions have immediately kicked in, and the next review will be done on 6th of November. Moreover, the CAQM has also left it to the state government, and it is the state government that will decide whether it has to shut down the schools or not, and it is completely up to the Delhi government to kick in odd even or not. So all in all, if we see, considering the severe air quality in the national capital, the graded response action plan stage 4 has kicked in, and CQM has taken some tough and very big decisions to give a relief to the Delhiites.
All right, Danish, many thanks for joining us. It is now severe category. That's the air quality in the capital, and of course restrictions are kicking in till the 6th of November at least. Well, on that note, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned. The news will continue here on CNBC TV 18.